Okay, so good evening, everybody. I'll wait a little bit so people can log in. I know we had a login-ish problem, so I'm hoping people log in. So just bear with me. My guests are in the background, so I hope you can hear me. The guest, I hope you can hear me in the background. I know Mukuni is muted, but I hope Vanessa and Shireen, you can hear me. I'm waiting for people to log in to the Facebook so that I can see and we can start talking. Hopefully, let me make my screen a little bit bigger. People are logging in slowly. So once a few people have logged in, I'll start talking about mental health. So good evening, everybody. For those who've logged in, my name is Maria, and I know the live stream has changed. Some of you are seeing it as the Maria Show. Previously, it was known as the Business Chat with Maria. So the new name is going to be called the Maria Show because I want it to open to everybody so we can talk about all different type of topics. The previous one was too focused on business. So I've had contacts asking if they could talk about other things, but because the title is business, they thought they couldn't really talk about anything. Today, we're going to talk about mental health in an equal world. So, as you know, mental health is still seen as a stigma, and a lot of people don't talk about mental health, and a lot of people don't share the experience on mental health because of the stigma that comes with saying, I've got mental issues. But mental health, I think, is something we should all talk about because it affects everybody. It doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter your skin color. Mental health is to do with the mental well-being. And as you all know, the brain is one of the most dangerous part of a human body, and I work in school as a careers advisor. Each day I meet students, I encourage them to think positive, to act positive, to do things in a positive way. Even when they feel they can't do something, I say, don't use the word I can't, use the word I'll try, I will do my best, and my best is enough. Because I believe the more positive things you say about yourself, the more positive outcomes comes as well. Sometimes life can give us setbacks, but with a positive mindset, you find the will to get up and start again. So today, as you know, the 10th of October is Mental Health Day. So I've got my panel. I'm going to bring on different panel guests so they can talk from their own perspective, from their own professional point of view, and also if they've experienced it, to share that experience. Because in the Black community, I'm not just saying only Black community, but in the Black community, being Black myself, mental health is something we don't talk about. It's something that we hide. And because of that, a lot of people suffer alone in silence with mental health. So it's something I'm hoping through these talks that we're doing, people will be able to open up more and talk to say, I have mental health. And it's okay to say, I have mental health. The way people say, I have HIV, I have cancer, I have this. I think mental health should be something that people should say, I have mental health and I need help. So it looks like my guests are ready. So I'll start bringing them one by one, and they'll introduce themselves on why they want to talk about this topic, and we'll go in with the questions. So my first guest that I'll bring on, and it is an honor to have her. I've always wanted to have her on my show, and it's a dear friend of mine. I've known her for years. But I've got kind of bad habits, and I think people who know me, they know I've got a good heart and good intentions, but I got my little bad habits as well. I don't do certain things, but I do check up on people and I do care, and they are dear to my heart. And Mukuni is one of those guests I have today. She's very dear to me. She's someone I've known for years and years, and I think it's over. She'll tell you herself how long we've known each other. So let me start because you tell me off if I say it wrong. So please, everyone, help me welcome Mukuni. Hi, Mukuni.
Hello, good evening, good evening. What a
How are you
privilege and
doing
an honor.
today?
I am well, Mimi. I'm well. I'm
Good,
well.
good,
Yeah.
good. And how's family? How are the kids?
The children are well, the family is
Good.
well. We are all doing well.
And you're looking amazingly beautiful. Your skin is always glowing.
You always compliment me about
No,
my skin.
you know what? I have to compliment your skin. I don't know what it is. Your skin is like butter, man.
I have found the fountain of youth. Talk to me
This
later,
youth.
I'll tell you.
Okay, definitely. I think we need to start. That's a big business. Yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the privilege
Yeah.
and the honor. I am, as you know, depending on how long you've known me, mental health is my baby, basically. I could talk
Yeah.
about it in my sleep. I'm very passionate about the intersection in the Black African community, Afro-Caribbean, in the church, and just in mainstream services and stuff. So I can go off on a tangent. So just stop me if you feel like I'm going off.
No, no,
So
no.
I'll start
And that's
by,
why, yeah, now that's why I'm honored
yeah,
to have you because I know this is something that's very personal and core
yeah,
to your heart. It's not just a topic to talk about lightly. To you,
yeah,
this topic
yeah,
is very dear to you. So thank
yeah.
you so much.
So,
Thank you.
so I'll introduce myself.
Yeah, please.
My name is Mukuni Samakai Simpungwe. I was born in Zambia, so I'm of Zambian heritage. I have done most of my adulting in the UK, so the UK has helped me grow up. Um, I'm actually a qualified social worker who currently works with adults with mental health challenges in the community. So that's from 18 upwards. So that's my financial my professional background, but also in my personal life, I have family members and friends who have had ill mental health over the years. So actually, that's how I came to kind of be interested. That was through sort of personal experiences and stuff. And then I've also had my own challenges with my mental health, even though I don't have a diagnosis, but I've had dips in my mental health. So I am very much for promoting well-being, wellness, and just to say that actually mental health in itself does not equal mental illness.
Yeah.
Mental health, like physical health, it's a holistic, it's a way of well-being, physically, emotionally, spiritually. That's where the definition comes from. When you
Yeah.
have mental ill health, then your mental health is suffering. But we can kind of go into that at a later stage. So that's me. In my professional space, I'm a mental health practitioner. In my personal space, I'm a mental health practitioner because I think you can't stop. It doesn't stop. Like it just, you have to have these conversations. And I am of the view that in the Black African community, like you said, we should talk about it like we talk about HIV/AIDS, like we talk about diabetes, like we talk about cancer. We should just be able to pull up a chair and just talk. Hey, I'm feeling low in mood. And not for the next person to respond and say, Black people shouldn't go to therapy or Black
Thank
people
you.
don't need to be seen,
Thank you.
in a mental health institution, etc., etc. We should just be able to say, okay, you're feeling low in mood. Tell me a little bit about it. What's going on? Do you know what the triggers are, etc., etc. So I'm really looking forward to this chat. I'm really honored to sit on this panel, and I'm looking forward to learning from all the other panelists as well. So thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much. If you just stay there with us. So the next
Sure.
guest I'm going to bring is Vanessa. Vanessa, I've had her as well on the Maria show some time back, and it was to do with mental health as well. So she's coming from the therapist side and on a professional side as well.
Mhm.
So please, everybody, help me welcome Vanessa. Good evening,
Welcome,
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Welcome to the Maria
Well,
show. How are you today?
yeah, very well. Thank you, Maria, and nice to meet you, Mukuni. It's been great to be invited, and mental health. I never thought I would be getting into this field, and now I've been on it working with in the mental health, providing counselling and psychotherapy, NLP, and coaching. for 23 years this year. So it was really unexpected that I didn't want to train again or do anything. And look at me, now I'm training every month or every week I'm learning something new. So mental health I work with a very wide range of people, from very young children from 6 years old. And my oldest client at the moment is 87. And I work from a variety of clients from all over the world. And I've been very fortunate that I've got clients in Maui, to Singapore, to Bristol, to Brent, where I am living. So yeah, it's been, and since the COVID, it's become more wider availability, that people are much more happier to work online than just the traditional seeing you in person. So it's been, and I came into mental health where I never expected to be, because I never thought there was anything wrong with me. And in fact, I had a burnout from work, and working 70 hours sometimes, to traveling, and could have burnouts in a professional capacity. And
that's very common.
Yeah, really common. We don't expect work to be causing us so much pressure and stress, but it does. And
No, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. As you've heard, mental health starts, it's from different ways. It can be from work, from personal, from other things as well. My next guest is Shireen. Shireen is coming in from personal perspective of mental health. So she will share a story, and also, the journey she went through, so that people can know that mental health is real and it does happen to Black people. And it's okay to have mental health. We should not be ashamed to say, I have mental health. Because if we do that, not only, because I know in the Black community, or from the African perspective, once someone says a mental health, they've gone crazy, and we stop talking to them and we avoid them. We make them feel very unwelcome.
Isolated.
Exactly, to the point where they don't know where to go to ask for that help. So Shireen, thanks for coming, and please everybody help me welcome Shireen to the Maria Show. Welcome, Shireen.
Hi everybody.
You can
Hi,
please
so I'm
introduce yourself.
Shireen. My name's Shireen, and yes, I have been diagnosed with a mental health disorder. It's emotional unstable personality disorder, and that stemmed from me being bullied at work, and that was 3 years ago. I'm okay now. I do have off days where something may trigger me, and I've tried to tell family and friends and my partner and my daughter that certain words trigger off, where it sets something in my brain that I can't cope, and I'll go into like a panic. So they are aware of my triggers, and I now am able to control those triggers. I'm able to identify where I'm going and what's happening to my body and my mind, so it doesn't escalate. And that's all down to self-healing. So I had to do a lot of had to self-heal myself to get to where I am today. So it's been 3 years and I haven't had an episode. So I'm very thankful and I feel very blessed. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no, fantastic. No, thank you so much for coming on and to really share your experience with us, because I think people forget when people can't relate, they find it difficult to share. So when they can actually see that, okay, there is someone else actually who's got it, it's okay for me to talk about it. So thank you so much, because I know you're disclosing yourself publicly, and thank you for opening up and to share that with us. So to start with, I know you've all kind of sort of, so I'll go with the order of how I've introduced you into the chat. So we first start with you, Mukuni. As you know, today is mental health in an equal world. So the stats are saying that mental health is not balanced due to different support system. And previously, when I was speaking to Vanessa, she did sort of say that mental health affects everybody, whether rich, poor, black, white, whatever race, it affects you. So, what does mental health mean to you from your own professional, as also from your own personal perspective? What does mental health mean? So that someone who's watching can understand it and know that, okay, this is real.
Okay. What does mental health mean to me? It means being well, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I think it's the UN. They have a definition where they say when all these aspects of your life are balanced and you feel that your needs are being met in all these areas, then your mental health needs are being met. Like I said earlier, mental health does not equal mental illness. Mental health does not equal a mental health diagnosis. Mental health, just like physical health, it is a broad topic. It's just a tagline to guide us, as it were. So if my physical, spiritual, emotional needs are met, then my well-being needs are met, and I am well. I am mentally well. It takes all these things for my needs to be met, for me to kind of say, to really say, yes, I am in a good place. That could involve finances. There's a whole lot of things that can lead to one's mental health breaking down. So for me, that's what mental health means to me. So for me, if we were to look at an equal world, it would be a world where all these needs are being met. We're at equilibrium, regardless of race, gender, economic background, etc., etc. That's what it means to me.
No, thank you
And I
so
think,
much for sharing that. Yeah.
sorry, just one more thing. As a Black African woman, to be listened to without the lens of my accent, my name, my background, or where you perceive or where you feel you need to ask me where I'm originally from, and all those layers. If you just see me as a human being.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, because people tend to want to ask where you from. It's like, why does that matter? I am telling
And
you,
when I'm feeling naughty, it changes.
Oh, yeah.
It changes.
No, but it's like me telling you where I'm from. Would that solve
Yeah.
the problem? Would that make the problem easier?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is my problem. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter about my background. It doesn't matter about my accent. It's like, do you understand me?
Yeah.
Are you hearing what I'm telling you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
also, if I'm trying to stress a point, I'm not being aggressive. I'm having to, because you said you don't understand my accent, I'm probably having to raise my voice a little so you can understand me. I'm having to enunciate more than I do so that you, who's chosen to see me through the lens of my accent, can hear me. But actually, all of us can hear and understand every single accent if we tune in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I have to spell my name to every single professional I talk to every single time, it's exhausting.
It is, yeah.
Right from the GP to the insurance company to my child's school, wherever, I'm constantly spelling my name to the point where I went home to Zambia to visit and I was spelling my name. I was like, no, wait, you're home. Well, why are you spelling your name? So it's just been,
because it became a habit. It became a habit. Because it became a habit.
So people can't hear that I am Mukuni. They just hear that it's a difficult name to pronounce.
Yeah, but for me, I've always, I remember I watched a show where I said, teach them how to say it. Because they can pronounce other names, they can speak other languages. Teach them. If they don't want to say that, I mean, they don't want to learn. It's a personal choice for them.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why I think it's a personal choice. So thank you for that. Next, I'll bring on Vanessa. So Vanessa, if you could tell us from your professional perspective, and also like you had shared before, like we've experienced mental health from the personal side. So what is mental health to you? So someone who's watching can understand, please.
Well, first of all, I didn't really realise that I had any mental health issues until my back pain and my arms, I couldn't even move my arms and my back because of the pain. And it was only through an amazing Australian therapist, the physiotherapist, who said to me, I'm not going to work on you anymore after 2 years and 3 times a week going to see her, and said, oh, you need to go and see a therapist, work on your mind. And I thought, oh, does she think I've gone mad? But it was the best thing she's ever done, because it was through there that I decided to explore for myself that my physical symptom was related to the stress and the pressure I had at work, and working in an international organization and traveling and having to work with a very male-orientated organization, that I had to work more hours and longer because I had to prove myself more or get certain things done. I believe mental health is when you don't worry, when you're not under stress or proving yourself or meeting other people's expectations. The balances and being well, just having a balance in my mind and my emotions and how I'm feeling and acting makes it, this is where mental health comes in, where when we are mentally well, there are no life pressures. We don't need to take it on the way it comes across to us or how we perceive it, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Because our health, our physical body does not lie. And that's what I have learned from having mental health experiences that I went through.
No, and Mukuni, what do you say on that in terms of, because I saw you nodding when she said our physical health don't lie, and you know that kind of agreed with that. What does that mean to you?
I agree with Vanessa, because I feel like by the time our bodies have a way of warning us,
Yeah.
and they start slowly, and we ignore, and sometimes you actually have to crush and burn and end up in bed to actually realize that there is something going on. I also believe that by the time something is manifesting physically, it's been going on for a long time mentally. And that is why the mind is very important. When the mind is strong and fortified, the body follows suit.
Yeah. Very true.
So the main battle in life, whatever you do, is in the mind. You have a strong mind, you can go anywhere, you can achieve anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, by the time you are physically ill, most of the physical ailments, I'm sure, I'm not a medical practitioner, but we can trace them to mental and emotional ailments. Stress, keeping stuff to yourself, not expressing yourself, bottling things up. I think yoga practitioners usually say, depending on where you're feeling the stiffness and stuff, it's connected to something.
Yeah.
So it's all, the body is just amazing. The body, the mind, it's all connected. And if we take the time to observe and listen, we will know. Before we even like pop the paracetamol or whatever, we can trace to where the headache is coming from. The headache is just a symptom.
Yeah. To
of
tell you
something going on.
something is going on in your body. So start dealing with it now before it becomes worse. Yeah. That's very true. Yeah. No, thank you so much. Before I bring on, because I meant to bring on somebody, there was like another guest waiting in the background, but they've come off. So I'm going to bring on Shireen now. So Shireen, I want you to talk. I know you've talked about the from the personal point of view in terms of mental health. So if you could now then sort of in more details, please explain to us what mental health means, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so please you can share with the audience for us what mental health means for you, and then you can go into from your own personal perspective as
so
well.
I
Please.
believe mental health is where us adults or children go through stages in life where they can't control their brain gets overworked, and because our brains get overworked, it can't regulate itself. So then you end up, it comes in different it comes in different shapes and sizes, kind of thing. Like for instance, from myself per se, is emotional. I can't control my emotions, so anything can trigger me, and I'll just go on to having a breakdown. But it may not be the same for somebody else. So mental health, it comes in different shapes and sizes, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I've never suffered with mental health per se, but I've learned to know when my body is communicating with me.
Yes.
When my body is giving me that little signal, or when my body is shutting down,
Yes.
I'm like, "Whoa, Maria, slow down now.
Mm.
Do things differently." So for you, so just before we bring the other guest, when it all started from you, how did you feel? Like
Okay.
how did you react yourself before
So
you could
it
tell
start.
somebody else?
Okay, so it started off with me. It started off where the manager would like put her hand up in my face and say that she's not helping me. And then they observed me in so there was like about 8 of us, and they observed just me, not anybody else, not any other practitioner. It was only me that they observed. And because they observed me every day, it became like a chore. Like I had to go into a room, just me and the manager and another lady, and I would have to listen to them say that I'm not good at what I'm doing. I'm not this. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I explained, is there anybody else going through the same thing as me? Is anybody else being observed? And what I was told is, yes, everybody's being observed, but that wasn't true. So looking at that aspect of why is it just me that's been pinpointed, and then they started doing things like, I need to be concise and consistent in if I'm leaving the room, I need to tell somebody that I'm leaving, and nobody else was doing that. So then I became a robot, where I started to kind of question myself and say to myself, why am I doing the right thing? And I wasn't doing that before. As I'm a practitioner in childcare, so I would go and do my thing, be a key worker, do the children's activities. But I then became stagnant. I became like a robot, where I was like, yes, sir, yes, no, please, bag full, kind of thing. I would have to tell the staff when I'm leaving the room, tell the staff when I'm taking the child to the toilet. And that is not the way of living. That's not the way of how a practitioner should be. And that's when I realized that something wasn't right, because she just kept on pinpointing me and not supporting me when I needed support, and just being really nasty. And so that was 2014. So I stayed at the nursery because I loved my job, and I loved the feeling of achieving something, for the children to achieve from me and to go to further school. I just stayed on. And it only came up to 2017 when I started losing my memory. And that was the first kind of start for me, is losing my memory and thinking that I had something wrong. I even thought that I had a brain tumor, to the point where I went to the doctors. I said, look, I need help. I can't remember things. I've put my phone down and I don't know where my phone is. This is not normal. So they sent me to MRI, and the pressure that was building up of me, it was anxiety. I had anxiety and I didn't know what anxiety was. So it only came up to 2018 July, where things actually went downhill, and I was very ill, very, very ill. Yeah.
Vanessa, if I can bring you on from the professional point of view, hearing Shireen talking about being in an environment at work where she was being stalked, you know, that's, I don't, me personally, I don't think I would last. I would just say I quit immediately. I would suffer the consequences. Then I said, oops, I shouldn't have quit, but I would definitely do something like that. But there's no way I would work in an environment where you have to tell them when you're going toilet, when you're doing that. It's like they don't trust you. They don't, you know what I mean? So that must have been very difficult for you. That must have been the most. How did you manage to go to work every day? How did you manage to go
To be honest with
in?
you, Maria,
What kept you
because
going?
because I loved my job, that's what kept me going. And because I love children, And
Right.
to see their little faces, to see them call my name, Miss Shireen, you know, it just gave me that feeling of like acceptance, the feeling of need, and that's what kept me going. It wasn't the manager, it wasn't the staff, it was me and the children. And every time I wanted to leave, another set of children, key children, came in my care. So then I felt, oh my gosh, if I go, I'm going to let them down. So then I stayed another year. That was from 14, 15, 16, 17. Then I
Wow.
started to feel unwell. And then
Wow.
18, July 18, I went downhill, where I then went on sick leave.
Wow.
And
And
yeah,
and then
the
during that period, did you
yes.
get any support at all, or did
Okay,
everybody
so
just think?
yeah, so once I went on sick leave, I actually put myself in counselling, because the Ealing Council and the Hounslow Council, because my doctor's is in West Ealing, but I live in the Hounslow borough, they couldn't support me with counselling, because
For
my
your different
doctor's was
borough?
in Ealing, but my house is in the Hounslow borough. So I never had no support. So what I had to do, I got diagnosed in October 2018. And what I had to do is actually pay privately. But unfortunately, the lady that was doing the counselling, she kept on reliving my trauma. And because she kept on reliving the trauma that I was going through, it kind of stopped me from healing. Because every time I went to the session, I was talking about the same thing. Oh, my work, this was what happened. The manager did this, the manager did that. And it just kept me down. So I actually stopped the counselling, and I spoke to the family, and I said that I need to leave and I need to go to Jamaica. And although they thought that I was crazy, a lot of people called me crazy, a lot of people called me mad. um I knew upon myself that I wasn't leaving my daughter, because I've got a daughter and now I've got a son, 6 weeks old. So
Oh,
yeah, but with my daughter, she was my rock, and she's the one that supported me at 11 years old. You know, she supported me up to today. You know,
wow.
that's what kept me going, is my daughter. And I said to her that I'm not leaving you. Please understand that I'm not leaving you, but mummy has to go, because if mummy's here, I don't know what can happen to me. And if I go, they always say, go into the salt water heals the soul. And I've always heard that saying. So I said to myself, I'm going to buy a ticket for 6 days, and I'm going to go, because I have family there. And I've got one friend that actually took me and helped me. And there was just one day that I took myself to Jamaica, and he actually took me to the beach. And it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. It was still dark. And how I actually healed myself is I prayed and I asked for the depression to go. And I didn't want it anymore. And I didn't understand why this depression was on me, and why I was feeling the way I was feeling, and why I'm talking in a certain way. So once I prayed and I read Psalms 23, I actually went into the water, and I almost like I baptized myself, and I just prayed upon myself and asked for that feeling and to go away. And I dumped myself in the water, and when I came back up, it was like a new person.
Wow.
So whatever I felt before, and I'm telling you, it's real. Whatever I felt before to the feeling after me coming out of the waters, it was like God took everything away
Everything.
from my body, from my mind. And I came back to England 2018 October. And so I went October, I came back October. But when I came back, I was a different person. I spoke differently. My mind was settled. I was at ease. I wasn't talking irrational.
Wow.
And I can truly say that I feel blessed. Yeah.
No, I'm so glad
Say
to hear
that.
that.
Yeah.
No,
And
just before.
I haven't had an episode for 3 years. So
Wow.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So just before you answer that question, I'm going to bring the guests. They've been waiting for some time. Each
Okay.
time I want to add them, they cut off. So let me just add them now. Okay. I'll leave them on, I think. So there's a question for you, Shireen. Said, did you
Okay.
get any help from the mental health service after?
So after the counselling.
Or maybe after the episode, maybe.
Oh, after the episode. So the help or the support that they felt that they were giving me was sending me to do it privately. But saying that, now that 3 years later, obviously I've got a disorder that's on my records now, so that will never go. So now that I have a son, it's when I was first pregnant with him, the doctors and stuff, they all rallied around, and they put things in place, where, because the episode that I had came when I was 19 years old. I had purple psychosis. So when I had my daughter, it's like a postnatal depression, but they call it purple psychosis. And that's when I first had a mental health disorder. However, they never wrote it down. They never like put it on paper. I just know that I went through that stage. However, 14 years later, going through my work and being bullied at work, that trauma, that everything that's happened in my life, in my journey, has come out of the woodworks. And the trauma that I had then went into anxiety, then went into depression, and now the mental health team is within my care to care for my son. However, although I don't feel I need them, it's nice to know that they are there. If anything does happen, I can go to them and I can get support. So yes, to answer that question, I didn't get help in 2018. However, I had to help myself by doing it privately and then going to resolve it myself.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, no, thank you so much, Naomi. I hope Shireen has answered your question. Just before we continue, I'll bring in Auntie Walia. She's all the way from Belgium. She's a psychologist by professional. So I'm hoping she was hearing everything we've said, and she's muted at the moment, so I hope she can hear me.
I can hear you, Maria.
Perfect.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening. Hello.
I've been struggling with my network. I don't know because I was traveling, but I managed to switch on to my laptop. What the last panelist just said is she went through cultural sensitive intervention program, and that is something that we looking forward to promoting, whether we as people of migrant origin living in Europe or wherever we are, or back home. It is very important that when we're talking about mental health, to consider the person's background, what's their language they speak, and what all the consequences of who they are as a person is very important in mental health. That's all I wanted to comment right now.
Introduce yourself to the audience, because I know we did the intro before. If you can let the audience know who you are and what's your professional and where you're talking from, so they know as well, please. So when you continue the question, at least they know who you are.
Well, for this panel, I'll introduce myself as a clinical psychologist, and mental health is one of my my focus, because from a very young age, I've experienced family members and people I knew who had several consequences of different consequences, and they led to mental health issues. And I think it's a topic that talking from the Zambian point of view, which is very little known about, that anything that affects the brain actually has a huge consequence. In psychiatry, mental health, and medicine, there's also a question, which is the biggest consequence for a human being, whether is it the brain or the heart, but they both relate to each other. And I think we need to bring about a lot of awareness in our communities. I think from very ground level, that people understand that when somebody suffers, whether it's depression or any minor consequence that affects their brain, that we need to understand and take care of them, and also give prevention measures. That I think from my point of view of experience in communities, whether it's here in Belgium where I live, where when I talk about mental health, people think, oh, you shouldn't mention mental health because people think they're talking about mad people. No, having a mental health issue, mad, whatever, it doesn't matter, but it affects us in every part of our livelihood. And we need to understand that it's not a suicidal issue. We can take care of each other, and this is my concern. It comes from that background where I come from, Zambia, where anybody that they see having an issue because of a mental health problem, they're considered really an outcast. And when I came to Belgium as a young lady, 27, I come from a business background, but I studied psychology because I wanted to understand what affected my family member who's very close to me, my sister, who had a brain damage because of childbirth. And I wanted to understand that because it was a lot more than just psychiatry, because the consequences and the fact that from just losing conscious, her ability degraded. I wanted to understand that, and I come from that point of view, and I'm very concerned and very passionate about anybody or any community that's discussing mental health, because I've dedicated a huge part of my life trying to understand those consequences. And even though I didn't initially want to study psychology, I did it because I wanted to understand what it meant, what my own sister went through. I mean, so I've combined that from a business point of view, but to understand the consequence of that. And I'm a proponent of societies really bringing this in the fore, especially we, the Africans around the world, whether we're in the African continent, Caribbean, whatever. We minimize, we always want to apportion this, whether to witchcraft or whatever. We really need to understand the mental health of a human being from either way. Like when you talk about having gone to our previous panelist, she spoke about she went to Jamaica and it helped her. What we proposing right now, for me as a member of the European Asylum Support Office, where we're dealing specifically for mental health, and I've been personally advocating for making sure that we bring in cultural and sensitive intervention, because you cannot cure mental health without understanding the person who they are. So when you get back home, you actually, it's easy for people to understand you, or from your point of view, than somebody who doesn't understand where you come from, because it's not just about language. There's a lot of intricacies in a human mind that has to be understood from a cultural point of view. So I'm a big proponent for cultural sensitive mental health intervention program.
Okay. Just before we continue, there is a message on the screen. Someone, Rishin, if I say it right, saying, I want to end my life. I can't breathe. I get panic attacks frequently. So is anyone from either Vanessa or Antiwalia, even you, Mukuni, as well, talk from the personal perspective and share some words to encourage Rishin with his question? So his question
This is
is
not
how much,
something I think
so
we can discuss right here in public. If
yes,
the person, if can you have their contact? I think he or she needs really to have one-to-one, whether it's through internet or online or face-to-face conversation, because it's not an easy thing for any of us to say, okay, you can't breathe, you're in panic attacks, and you want to end your life. We don't know
no, no,
what's
no.
going
No,
on
what
in
I meant
her
was what,
inside.
where could
Well,
we direct him? I'm not sure that the male or female, where to direct them to go to.
But the first thing is
Yeah.
actually he or needs to speak to somebody immediately, because it's a very serious issue. Immediately, we need to. She's online. He or she's online right now. Wherever she or he is, we need to find somebody near her or him to contact her or him to to just have a call even in the next few minutes, because those are not healthy thoughts. They're not healthy thoughts at all. It's somebody
Okay.
who's thinking that nobody's listening. So please get in touch with him or her and make sure that there's somebody close that can just have a conversation and see him or her right away.
You can contact the Samaritans or the Mental Health Foundation. I think this
But
sort of
where
just
is the
immediate.
person based? Can you find out where the
Yeah,
person is based?
they're on YouTube, so I've messaged them to find out where they're best because they're on
Okay, can you
YouTube.
ask her or him, are they comfortable to deal with somebody online, or they just want to see somebody face to face? Because the people want to deal with mental health issues online, and other people that want to deal with it face to face. What do they? What is she or he is comfortable with?
Yeah, no, I've messaged them on YouTube, so this is on to see. Hopefully, I'll get a reply back,
All
and
right.
yeah, hopefully they'll respond back here because I don't know where they're best. I'm not sure how to communicate on the YouTube. Yeah,
There's
yeah.
help somewhere. Wherever somebody is, there's always help. Like me, who's as a clinical psychologist, we have networks all around the world. So wherever that person is, we can always find them somebody to speak with them.
This what reply said they're in India.
Yes, even just ask him, especially at this moment in India. There's a lot of issues going on. I can refer him or her to some friends of mine in India. Just get their number, and I will talk to them when we finish with the conversation.
Okay. So Rasheen, I hope you can hear us. Kindly please share your contact details and someone will be in touch with you so they can refer to someone in India. So if you can hear me, please kindly share your contact details via YouTube and I'll try and message you as well. Yeah.
But
So is
equally,
anyone who
Maria,
wants
find out why is she or he's feeling that way. There might be something going on right away that we don't know about.
yes,
She
at the
or he
moment.
must provide you that information as well.
Yeah, I'll
What's
do
going
that. I'll do
on?
that in a minute. So I'll leave you guys to talk with the next question and then I'll follow up on Rasheen. Is anyone who wants to add on to what we've said? Anyone wants to say anything at the moment before we go to the next question? Then I'll sort of come off and go and attend to Rasheen. Yeah. So the next question, I'll start with Shireen. What were the common misconception people had, and when everybody sort of knew you had mental health, or when you said they thought you were crazy, you gone mad, and how do you think we can combat those kind of thoughts when we tell somebody, I feel this way, and then someone says, "Oh, you're just crazy. You don't need the therapy. Just need to do this. You'll be okay." How can we combat those so that we can communicate more effectively? So, from your own point of view, please. Can you hear me?
Looks like she's frozen.
Okay. So, Mukun, if you can talk.
Yeah. Okay, so most of the common misconceptions around mental health challenges are that people think it's just people picking fruit from bins. It's people with like who look unkempt. It's people who talk to themselves. Sometimes people don't imagine that you could be working a full-time job and holding that down, but actually be really suffering with your mental health. And also, there's just if you say to somebody, actually, I've been feeling quite low for sort of 1 week, 2 weeks, and usually the response, or snap out of it, or get over it, you'll be fine, you are strong, because people have always perceived you as that strong person, especially if you're the type that is always there for people, you are always helping people, you are always trying to rescue people and stuff like that. So people may never see you as someone that needs help. So in your time of need, they may find it difficult to support you. And also, if I can bring it to the context of the church, there's certain social constructs that have been embedded and entrenched in our setup as Christians. And some of those things could be to do with mental health problems. So if you came up and said you're feeling this way, or you've been diagnosed with this mental health problem, it is almost always linked to demonic attack. You have been oppressed by demons. That is why you are behaving the way you're behaving, or you're thinking the way you're thinking. Now, how can we combat all these thoughts and misconceptions? It's to raise awareness, to talk openly, to share experiences to the level of our comfort, so that, like you said, if somebody sees that a sister of mine, a brother of mine has been through this, has come out on the other side, or is journeying, then, I can do it as well. I can open up. If we can create safe spaces, judgment-free zones for people to express themselves, if we can have, signposting, to facilities, to institutions where people can get this support in a safe way, in a judgment-free zone, if we can maintain confidentiality, if somebody comes up to me and confides in me, provided it's not a safeguarding issue, provided their life is not going to be put at risk by me withholding this information, then we are on our way. There's also scope for statutory services to merge with non-statutory services, the church, the mosque, the synagogue, all the places of faith. We all need to be working together to ensure that people's mental health needs are being met, not through our own lens of thinking this person is demon possessed, not through our own lens of thinking this person is lazy, they never get out of bed, they're always sleeping, etc., but through a lens of compassion and empathy and thinking it could happen to you. Because in the UK, according to, I think, Mind or the Mental Health Foundation, 1 in 4 adults will experience a challenge with their mental health in their lifetime. On this screen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even if Cherie didn't tell us about her situation, it could be any one of us. You're sitting on the bus, 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be any one of us. It doesn't choose race, the gender, sexual orientation. 1 in 4.
It's a lot.
So just bear that in mind.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. It's heartbreaking to hear 1 in 4. It's a lot, and like you said, we need to talk about it. We need to be open about it. I need to be able to come to a friend and say, this is how I'm feeling without being judged. And like you say, where is to, if I share this information, am I helping my friend or am I putting my friend in danger? And you'd know when to send information. And like they've always said, like using my profession, I always get permission from the kids saying, from what you've told me, I have to tell somebody.
Yeah.
I can't, because for me, in my schools, I'm impartial and I'm independent. So I'm not part of the school. So I tell them the information you've shared with me, because I'm impartial, I come here once a week, I have to share with somebody. Is that okay with you? You get the permission. But I find, like you said,
And also, if I'm not in a position to support you, it's okay for me to say, actually, Maria, what you've said to me is really heavy. It's out of my comfort zone. It's out of scope. However, I know ABCD that can help you. Let's have a look on the internet. What can we find? It's just about being resourceful. It doesn't mean that it doesn't necessarily mean when you come to me, I am the one to help you with everything. I may help you, I may hold your hand and help you take the first step, but it could be 2 or 3 other people that will help you journey. Yeah, it's just that initial courage and bravery to open up, and then that person receiving me in a judgment-free zone, in a non-judgmental, and they're just going to be like, that's okay. The same way, if I came up to you and say, my neck hurts, you're not going to tell me to get over it.
Yeah, you ask, oh, what happened, or what did you do?
Yeah,
How does it hurt? So that you know what,
exactly.
and you can say,
Yeah,
oh,
you're going to
I
say, have
need
you
to go
seen
to
your
the GP.
GP? What have you
Exactly.
taken for it? Is it that you didn't sleep well? What happened? You're not going
Yeah,
to tell me to get over a neck ache.
yeah,
So how is it that if I say, oh, I've just been very moody lately, I've been, snapping at everybody, you're going to say, oh, maybe
oh,
it's PMS, or, just get over it. Just snap out of
yeah,
it.
yeah. Vanessa, what do you say to that, please? What do you say from your professional point of view, please?
No, absolutely. The statistics has been there for quite some time for one person out of five.
Mm.
Since the COVID, I personally have experienced it's more likely to be three, even 3.5 out of five. And like we're talking about the community, that we do need to talk, and we do need to have communities like the religious practice places, as well as school. But one of the fundamentals now I think we need to focus on is when a woman is pregnant, to provide counselling there and then, and start providing the possibilities with the hormonal changes and how the life situation, the changes that's going to happen is also affecting that unborn child. So some of the depression does not even belong to a child, it belongs to the parent, the mother carrying the baby that then the child is carrying forward. But without really, people are stigmatizing. Like I had somebody who had COVID and they got supported by their family. They were around, giving food, dropping off things, checking on them. But as soon as they said that they've got anxiety and depression, mental health issues, they never even brought the subject up, not one phone call to ask if they're okay, how they're doing. They went eventually 9 months later, went for a meal, not one discussion about how are you feeling?
Wow.
What's going on? But COVID, they were there, stepped up, everyone was there. So but if we can put more investments into this core foundation area instead of medicalizing our problem, because that is short-term fix and that is not
Yeah,
fixing them.
yeah.
True.
And for us to think this is normalization, because we are all going to either know somebody or we've got that ourselves. We don't know how we're going to turn in a couple of months. It could happen to us anytime and it can catch up on us at any point.
Yeah. Edith, who was meant to be one of the panelists, sending a message to say, let's take care of our mental well-being as much as we do with our physical health. Raising awareness, stopping the stigma around mental health, and creating an environment that allows people to be vulnerable and open to enable them to feel free to open up and seek help. Let us pinpoint people to the right person and services, but let's be available for emotion support. It helps
Hmm.
a lot sometimes. Just listening, a hug, and a prayer is all people need to feel better themselves. But be the emotion psychological network. But if we know, like Mukuna had said, if we know we can't help, it's best to tell somebody, say, you know what, Mukuni, I can't help in this situation, but the best option is for you to contact your GP, or I think this number, if you call it, they'll be able to support you better than saying, oh, that's not my problem, deal with it yourself. I don't have experience. How can I help you?
Yeah.
Because already I feel like you push them away as more than they think. If I can go to my friend
Mm,
to get the support, how can I go to a professional?
mm.
But if they can, I feel like if someone can come to you and tell you something
Yeah,
heavy and big, and you're
yeah,
able to listen to them, and I feel that helps them to say, you know what, let me try the professional side as well.
yeah,
Because it give them that, I think, that inner strength, like that power, like, oh, I did with Maria and she listened. Let me
yeah,
try with the pro, and I feel like
yeah,
that helps as well,
yeah.
because
That's
sometimes it's
right.
the fear of the known, thinking,
Mm,
how would they react? How would they respond back? Like most people, when you say something, the reaction is like, yeah, you're going to be okay. This thing, even me, I had it last time, it's okay. Yeah, but the
let's
headache,
have a drink.
thank you. You know what I mean? It's like I know I get headaches. My family know the type of headaches I get. So when I tell them I've got a headache, they always say, Maria, your headaches are serious. Take a break, rest, take this, and if not, tomorrow go to the GP. Because when I say I've got headache, they know I don't get headaches often, But when I do get them, they drain me out. It's like, I don't know what happened to my body, you know. So I do have that support. Even with Mukund this week, I did tell her, I said, oh, I've got a headache. She told me, you know what, Maria, you rest and let me know how you feel. And we checked up on each other. It's those little things we do that helps you to say, oh, someone's checking up on me, you know. That feels nice. And you feel, I can tell her again, oh, I feel better now, you know, and then she'll be at peace as well and feel better, like, oh, at least I help somebody, you know.
Exactly.
Shireen, yeah, I want to bring Shireen back. For you, from because you kind of experienced it, uh, how did you manage to cope when people told you, "Oh, you're crazy," or you know, when they said the negative things when you're trying to seek help? To
I,
say, you know, I'm not crazy. I've just got issues, but I need help.
to be
Maria,
honest with
before
you,
Shireen goes ahead, I want to find out as well, because she said she managed to deal with it when she was back home, her country of origin, not in the UK. That's where she managed to deal with it. I would like to find out exactly how that process went on, because this is something we need to understand and be able to deal with the situations, because we're dealing with these interventions where we understand very well that culturally it's very important when we're dealing with our minds. So when you're answering Maria's question, would you please also explain to us how the context of being back home in Jamaica helped you? Was it in Jamaica or somewhere?
Jamaica. It was Jamaica, yeah.
Yeah, that helped you actually get a grip of your situation, because this is something we are doing research on, and because we've been very convinced that it helps. We want to understand how that went for you as well.
Okay, so over here there was a lot of negativity that I faced in England. But it was just stemming from being here, knowing that the manager is around the corner from me, not really having the support of the family as such, because the family also thought that I was, you know, going through a stage, but they were there were certain family members that was talking behind my back, and it came to light from my mom. So because I heard that that person saying this and that person saying that, and I just said to myself that I can't be here anymore, and I don't want to go through where I never ever thought of suicidal. That was not my portion. I never thought of suicidal thoughts, because like I said, I've got a daughter and she was my main focus. However, getting myself out of this country meant that I was starting fresh. So although I was going to my home country, I knew that nobody really knew and understood what I was going through there. So when I went there, it was almost like going as a holiday rather than going to heal myself. Although I knew that I was going to heal myself, the family members over there didn't know what I was going through. So that's where my support network started, was in Jamaica. Because over here, saw the journey that I went through whilst I was under the influence of the mental health disorder. Um, and they just never helped me. So a lot of people would talk behind my back rather than to me. And I feel as I've gone through this journey, that one thing I can say is that if anybody is going through this journey, talking, communicating how you're feeling to your loved ones and expressing if you understand what you're going through, because I never actually understood what I was going through back then, because I had anxiety and I didn't know what that was. I couldn't regulate why I was doing what I was doing, because there were certain things that I was doing, which that's why they diagnosed me in the first place, is out of the ordinary. So as a Christian, I love to sing. So because I wasn't singing beforehand, going through my mental health state, I found singing like a relief. So I would sing Christian songs whilst I was driving, on Facebook. I'll just randomly, I wouldn't sleep as well. I wasn't sleeping. So I would randomly wake up or not even wake up. I would randomly go on Facebook, maybe about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock or something like that in the morning. And I'll just start singing. And to them, that was not the norm. So they would call me crazy and mad, and up to now, I still don't understand, or I still don't know who said what, because my closest friend to me, we had a conversation not so long ago, and she would tell me oh, there was a lot of people that came to her and asked her, is Shireen okay? Why is she acting a certain way? And rather than come to me and supporting me and asking me if I was okay, they was going to her, which made a burden, put a burden on her head, and I wish that they would kind of say to me and ask me if I was okay, rather than go to other people, because that meant that I wasn't actually getting the help from my loved ones and my friends. So yeah, sorry, I don't know if I've gone off the subject. So going into Jamaica, like I said, they didn't know what journey of my mental health state what I was going through. So I was able to kind of not fake it, but I was able to just, I don't know, when I got to Jamaica, things just seemed so different. I didn't have the people around me that were negative. I had just positivity, a lot of, hi, good morning. It was almost like I was in England, but just different people, if you understand what I mean. So it's just the atmosphere. I think the atmosphere of your surroundings helps your mind. If you're in a negative kind of aura, then you become kind of negative. But if you're in a positive aura, your mental health state, I think, it just eases. And that's what happened to me. My mental health, it just eased. And I was just at ease when I was in Jamaica. Sorry if I've gone off the target.
And while I hope Shireen has answered your question, just before we move on, someone has asked a question to say, is there a link between domestic violence and mental health?
Oh, yes. Can I answer that? Can I answer that one?
Okay, after that, Mukuni and...
that one as well, sister. But I want to answer that one as well.
No worries, you answer this one. After that, it's Mukuni, and then Mukuni, then Vanessa will answer that as well, please.
Okay, so yes, that's a great question, because like I said to you all, I had purple psychosis. I had purple psychosis when I was just 20 years old, actually 19, because I had my first daughter at 19. And domestic violence was the cause of me, I believe it was the cause of me actually having my daughter at 32 weeks plus 3 days, because her dad was very violent towards me. And because of that negative, like I said, negative, that word again, because of that negative aura that I had in the household, meant that my mental health was not, it wasn't right. So then, therefore, I went to have Alicia 32 plus 3 days. And that's when I had my first episode of mental health disorder. So yes, I believe domestic violence is a link to mental health. So that's what I wanted to share.
Can I come in, Maria?
Maria. Hi, Mukuni. Sorry. Yeah, if you're coming on that, please. Yeah. Thank you.
So just going by my professional background in my line of work, it is linked, because what you find is, whether it's the man or the woman that is the victim or survivor, some people prefer to be called survivors, is that something happens to your brain when you are constantly exposed to violence over a period of time. One. Number two, you find that the perpetrator would usually isolate. One of the signs is that they would isolate the victim or the survivor. So obviously that's going to say, maybe you were quite vibrant, you were quite social, you had a social life, there were certain things you enjoyed doing. And if all those things are removed, they're taken away, that will definitely have an impact on your mental health and your well-being. The other point is, if you're pregnant, you're carrying a child, babies can hear, they can sense the violence, believe it or not, unborn Most people think, oh yeah, but the baby's no. So then you find that children are born with defects, developmental delays, etc., because of that constant exposure to the violence. Yeah, I don't know, Maria, if you're going to talk about maternal mental health. I don't know if we're going to come into that because I
Yeah.
want to talk on it.
No,
Yeah.
we're gonna come on to that. Vanessa, if you could please add on to this question, please. And
But there's dependency issues that can create mental health, the gaslighting. There's so many ways that people get restricted in the relationship that causes mental health. Severity of people's disorders can exacerbate from by just living even in a flat share. So it doesn't necessarily mean we are domestic violence comes in the form of just beating but living in that constant fear. And like you said, the restrictions that take away from your friends, but also you wouldn't want to go out because you can't pretend to be happy. So they eliminate it, then you're isolated even more because you're feeling you can't go out in the black hole, but also the disturbances are much more closer to home, which is harder to express that your partner's doing this to you. And a lot of times you don't know that until it's so late that your nervous system's gone, your confidence and self-esteem, that you can't even make sense of it. A lot of confusion occurs from this. One of the things that Shireen mentioned, that when she went to Japan, she felt a lot better. But that's the thing, mental health treatments are not just one way. We've got to do a lot of things. And we do need to exercise. We do need to sometimes we do need to take ourselves out from this same environment. I mean, like in Jamaica, where people do say hello, where at the bus stop I can see the same person every single day, and oh, who are you?
And there's sunshine. There's sunshine. There's loads of good food. There's loads of friendly people. That in itself is a game changer.
Yeah. And you are eating a different food. We're not chemicalized to get in with the food. We're not getting it. We get more fresh, because if you can afford organic food, yes. And you had a whole overall change, and you are with an amazing salt.
now coming on to the next question. Antoine, do you want to add on to this question in terms of domestic violence linked to mental health?
What I would say is that not each domestic violence is a mental health issue. Some people, because of the learned behavior, in psychology we talk about learned behavior, they are more susceptible to be violent. When you grow up in a family where, I'll give you an example. I always give an example about Zambia because that's my country and that's the environment I know before. I know a lot about Belgium, but maybe I don't feel as comfortable to discuss issues that go on in the Belgian issues. I came here. I've lived longer here than I've lived in Zambia, but I know friends that will tell me that they felt loved when their husbands beat them up. That's in the Zambian context. So can we relate that to mental health issue? No, that's a learned behavior. It's an environmental issue. We shouldn't also compartmentalize mental health to trivial things, like things that people learn and they take on and they do in the name of whatever. You've got people that do things because they feel powerful. They feel, I don't know, a lot more better than others. Mental health is a lot serious than that.
Yeah, I think
Mental
the
health
question
is
was
a very serious issue that happens without people actually realizing why it's occurring in their health, and they need support. So let's not put like mental health in connection with the violence. Violence is something that happens very
I think
independent.
the question was, is there a link between domestic violence and mental health? So that's what we were trying to table, and that's what we were trying to address,
And
actually.
this is what I'm trying to explain, that no, we cannot. I mean, when research wise, you cannot. The correlation is not here and there.
But don't most from the stories, I could be wrong, please do correct me.
Because you've got
But from
people
the
that have
most stories
serious
we've
mental
heard,
health issues that just are very non-violent. I'm just trying to say that don't equate somebody who's got a mental health issue to being violent. This is what I'm trying to
I don't
say.
think that's what we're doing. I don't think we're just saying that in the context of domestic violence, if you're exposed to domestic violence over a period of time, that you as a survivor or a victim can suffer from ill mental health. We are not
I,
justifying or saying that
and I
every
agree
violent
with
act.
that. I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. That is an environmental context, where your background, where your environment makes you do things, but it doesn't mean that you necessarily have a mental health issue. That's what I'm trying to clarify. There isn't that correlation, but there is a learned behavior. I spoke about the learned behavior. Learned behavior means that you've learned. Your father used to beat up your mother, and you learn that, and you also start beating up your wife. That's why I was trying to give that example about how most people will feel comfortable by being beaten by their husbands, because it shows that it's love, because it's a learned behavior, but that's not a mental health issue. That's what I'm trying to clarify.
okay, so so in simple, is that so the answer is domestic violence can lead to mental health, but not all domestic violence are mental health. Am I correct?
No, the person that commits violence against a partner is necessarily got a mental health issue. They can have a learned behavior from their environment, because they grew up in a violent environment. But it doesn't mean that it would necessarily lead to the person receiving being
The
beaten,
violence.
that they will have. There are certain numbers of people that will have mental health issues because of that. Depends
What
on
ab-
the resilience as well.
what about those who go through verbal abuse? Because sometimes verbal can that not cause mental health when someone's telling you you're not worth it, tell you your outlook, can
It
that
would
not
definitely affect you, but I mean, that's also domestic violence. It will definitely affect you. But what I'm saying, that the correlation, meaning the number of people that get that, it means they also have some other elements in their lives that make them actually uh, come into a position where they have mental health issues. I'm just saying that let's not uh, equate domestic violence with mental health. This is a completely different thing, where you have people that have never gone through that. I mean, we shouldn't. I mean, there are several steps to that. There's several categories of that. So we shouldn't equate that to just one thing. There would be a minute percentage that they will be affected because of
I don't
that.
think
If
anybody's
something is
equating.
wrong, they will still override that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's equating. Anybody, I think most of us are just saying that being exposed to violence over a period of time can lead to a decline in your mental health. It may be for a short period, it may be for a long period. Nobody is saying that they are, it's a correlation. It's just, it could be an outcome or a consequence of
And I
exposure
agree
to
with you
violence.
on that. And I agree with you on that. And that's what I'm saying. It's there's a probability of that happening, but it's not usually the reason why. But there are many other reasons for mental health issues, which I think in the next topic, because we have this short conversation today, we need to look into the consequences that lead to mental health issues, so that we can work them out, because there's so many uh, reasons why people get into the state of where their mental their mental ability is reduced and they're not able to function properly. I think all I wanted to say is that there's we cannot reduce it. I mean, there's a small percentage of the likelihood. Yes, there is a small percentage of the likelihood. Research-wise, I mean, as a clinical psychologist, I believe in research, and this is what you have to we work with. So I don't know, because when I'm talking to somebody who's got a problem, I'm not looking. Is it abuse? Is it this and that? They will tell you their story, and from that you can deduce maybe usually their own genetic, the environments plays a lot of role. And of course, when people are married, they're usually older. So this is why the probability of that being the likelihood is minor, because they're already older. So their resilience is better depending on the background they come from. That's what I wanted to allude to.
While touching on the topic of marriage, Mukuni, if you can come in on matrimonial mental health, because this conversation actually links straight into that topic as well. So if you can start that with, where's Mukuni? Oh, she's there. Okay.
I think it was maternal, Maria. Maternal, not matrimonial.
Oh, sorry, sorry, I do apologize. Sorry, someone did put a point to say that, yeah, the survivor might experience mental health. So,
Okay.
Sarah, hope that has answered your question and linked, because I feel like it's linked, but like I said, the percentage is not high. So if you can start on us on that topic, Mukuni, for us, please.
Yeah, sure.
Because mental
So
health, like you said, comes in different forms. So Mukuni is going to share us a different, on a different point of view.
yeah, so obviously we've established the fact that mental health is a broad topic, and people get affected in different ways. Some people it's long term, some people it's short term. We're living in a pandemic, and there are people who may not have had experience of mental health challenges previously that may be going through that just because it's been such a hard 18 months. So, in the context of maternal mental health, when we look at the statistics here in the UK, 1 in 5, sorry, a Black woman is likely to die from childbirth. Is 5 times more likely to die from childbirth or complications after giving birth. Yeah? A Black woman is 5 times more likely to die in childbirth or not long after. That's a very high statistic.
That's a high statistics.
Yeah.
Very high.
Yeah. So there are so many things, there's so many inequalities that a Black birthing woman may face on their journey, right from conception to delivery and post-delivery. Now, if I bring it home a little bit, I've had 3 miscarriages, and they've all been very different, and my experiences have been very different, but quite harrowing, actually. And I just wanted to bring that to light, that people often, they say all sorts of things just because they may or may not know what to say. They may or may not know how to respond, right from you're still young, you can conceive again, to but it was only 6 weeks, it wasn't really a baby, and just all sorts of things. So I will always shed a light on, I mean, I have two rainbow children. My oldest is a rainbow baby because she came after the first, and then my second is a rainbow baby because he came after the 2. Now, my third miscarriage was in 2018, and that was horrific, because walking through that early pregnancy unit, it just felt like the walls were closing in on me. And just the way they handled everything, it's just like, okay, yeah, there's no viable pregnancy. They give you some leaflets and off you go. So, and then I've had to go to the same hospital for other things, and that just brought a lot of memories. Like every time I see the early pregnancy unit, it just kind of brings everything. And it was a Sunday, so they said we can't do anything because we don't work at the weekend. You need to come back on Tuesday. Come Tuesday, I've lost the pregnancy. So I think for me, it's just raising awareness So Black, African women, Afro-Caribbean, and also even when I had my son last year, April of last year, I had to have an emergency cesarean section. That was traumatic. I wasn't expecting that. We didn't plan for it. We had to make the decision very quickly. I mean, horrible, horrible stuff. But like, just for you to know that even in the mental health space, there are other layers which people of color, Black people, African people may face, which white people may not necessarily know about. There are things like pain thresholds. There's this concept of the strong Black woman. So
Thank
you
you.
turn up at the hospital, you say you're in pain,
They
just
think you're
wait.
not.
They give you paracetamol, you say the paracetamol is not working, you're making a fuss, you're being aggressive, you're seeking attention, and all that stuff. So that's what I'm saying. So you're already in pain. Why are you having to prove your pain? Okay. So there's trauma from childbirth as well. Yes, you have a baby. Yes, you survived. But the journey to that place may have been horrific. And people may say, well, be grateful the child is alive, be grateful you're alive. But that doesn't negate, that doesn't take away from your experience. So that those are other conversations that we need to be having around Black birthing women and their experiences and how we can advocate for better experiences with the healthcare system, because there are a lot of things that have been entrenched, a lot of things that people have learned in their professional space when they encounter Black women.
Yeah.
So even when you're going for your antenatal visits, all that stuff, there are some preconceived ideas which you need to break down. There are some barriers which you
In
need to break
advance.
down. And just make sure that you are your number one advocate. Ask questions. If something is untoward, speak up, because you may be the only person that
You can
speaks up
save
for you.
yourself.
And you don't know, by you speaking up, you're saving another 6 women coming behind you. So this strong Black woman phenomenon, if you're in pain, you are in pain.
Yeah.
If somebody has said something that doesn't sit right with you, speak up. Speak up. It doesn't serve anybody. You say no. Okay, the contractions are coming. Let me just be strong. If you need that painkiller, you need the painkiller.
Yeah.
If it comes to the point where you need the epidural to save yours and your child's life, babes, take the epidural.
Yeah. Trust me. You saying that, you've made me so emotional and you've made me go in labor already. I feel like I'm in labor.
Sorry.
No, seriously. Like, you know what? I never really thought in that way until you've actually spoken about it. Because childbirth is another level. It's something. Just carry, like you said, being pregnant, just knowing you're pregnant. You are in charge of taking this human being that you don't know what's happening inside. That mental well-being of knowing I've got something in here, I have to protect it. That already your mental health changes.
Yeah. And
And
there's
when you go,
hormones, there's all sorts of things. There's previous experiences. You might be told you have a high risk pregnancy. So the chances of you really enjoying yourself, I mean, like with my son, I was so detached. I didn't buy stuff until like the second trimester.
yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
It's just people were asking all sorts of questions. I was just like,
Nope.
what if? What if? So if
Yeah.
I get attached and I lose again, what's gonna
What
happen? So I was
happens
just
to me mentally? What's going to happen to
yeah,
me?
yeah. So I started buying stuff like very, very late.
Till you know,
And
yeah,
even then it was literally just minimal stuff. Minimal.
yeah. Like
They
for
even
with me, ooh, both my kids, like Tyrese being my first, the experience I went through, my own mother was crying for me, saying, my goodness, I know you're strong, but come on, listen to this child. I'm a mother, I'm telling you, she needs help, that mental well. I don't know. I can't.
yeah,
It's something we need to talk about, like you say, as Black women, to say
yeah,
and share this experience, especially
yeah.
with the miscarriage as well. you said you have a miscarriage, people think, oh, you give birth, you're young. Do you understand what I've gone through? Do you understand the journey, the pain I've gone through? How do you know what makes you say it's gonna be okay? The fear you have. Just knowing you're pregnant, even like you said, you get scared thinking, would this child survive? Would this child die? You know, so it's something we need to talk about here. But
And
thank you for
some
sharing
people may not
Yeah.
naturally get pregnant again after a
Yeah.
It's not a guarantee. You're not.
Yes.
Some people may go into like secondary infertility. That's another thing. That's a whole nother thing. So all sorts of things can come in, endometriosis, cysts, and
Oh,
there's so many things that you can't see from the outside by looking at someone to say whether they're fertile or not. You can't. So there's all these things that people ask couples as soon as they get married. When are you having children? They have the first child.
children.
When are you having the second one? They have. You do
It's
not
like,
know, and
yeah,
you don't know what's going on in the background unless you're their obstetrician or their gynecologist.
then of
You
course.
really have no business asking these questions. They're quite
Yeah.
intrusive. Quite intrusive.
And especially when you've gone through and then someone is asking when is the next child, you're thinking, ugh, you want to answer, but you can't really answer them the way your brain is telling you. 'Cause you're thinking,
Yeah.
only if you know what I'm going through. But even if you tell them, they won't really
Mhm.
respond the way you'd want them to respond to you.
Mhm.
Sometimes
I
just
mean,
like
I'd just had my third miscarriage when I was having a conversation with someone who was telling me my daughter needed a sibling. And I couldn't get myself to tell this person, like, if only you knew. Yeah.
Vanessa, do you have anything to say on that one?
No, I think this is such an emotional experience that you have to be your own advocate. I totally agree, because as a mother myself now, I've been fortunate after many years of not being able to have children, and I had the opposite. Even the doctors were saying, "How did you get pregnant?" Oh, I have to give them a sex education lesson here. It was awful treatment for me, and then I ended up having to have a private consultant the hospital offered on the NHS because I wouldn't go back. I said, no one's going to stop my child from coming, but I don't want to be treated like this coming here. And it's already emotional enough being able to have a child and holding it, and then to be treated for 9 months like this was just, yeah, you have to really know for yourself. If you don't like something, it doesn't sit right,
Yeah.
leave. Because the baby, no one's going to be able to stop it from coming. So, or what's going to happen, but it is a very painful experience when you lose them and you've been wanting to have a family. It is a special bonding time as well as our hormonal imbalances, and we are all upside down. And that's why I do believe counselling should be given from as soon as someone's pregnant, because it's not. We're carrying lives. This is how mankind's being produced. You know, you become an adult, and without women, there is no. And we need each other. We need the partners too. It's not just isolated. And yeah, I think there needs to be a lot of care going in the support system, and I think more so socially we're spreading away from the network of family and grandparents, and we go towards bringing in that a therapist needs to be there. I think we really do need that.
And Claudia, do you have anything to add to that, please?
Are you okay, Maria?
Yeah.
Hug.
It's you sharing all this.
Back to you too.
Yeah,
Back to you.
sometimes you feel like you're alone, but I'm glad you brought up the topic. It's something we'll touch on in more details. So, Auntie Walia, is anything you'd like to add on to what
No,
Vanessa?
I just want to give hugs to you both and all mothers that have gone through losing children, whether it's 2 months, 2 weeks, and this is not something that you really want to go through as a maternal person. You know what I mean? Uh, I was just commenting in our own chat that I went into psychology because of my sister that lost her twins after going through childbirth, and she became handicapped, brain damaged. So maternal birth can bring a lot to women. She was a young, inspiring person. She was vibrant and everything, and after giving birth to her twin, she's been handicapped and brain damaged for years to death. My sister is still alive, and I keep referring to her. She's my inspiration for my clinical psychology because I followed her path where she just became unconscious, and she would have this epilepsy, she would have all this kind of thing where she even lost everybody in her life that was her friend. She doesn't have any friends. She only has we, the siblings, as her. My mom died when then my older sister had to take care of her. But she's very lucky. My brothers look after her like a queen. So we also have to, in mental health, we also have to celebrate people that take care of our own people, that look after the people that suffer. Like for this day, I would like to celebrate my brothers that look after my sister because she can't look after herself. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for that because I want to celebrate them because she's got her own place. She looks gorgeous. They look after her. She's got brain damage and everything, but she's very well taken care of. This is mental health we're talking about. You also need people around you that can look at you as the person you've been, that's vibrant, and they can think of you that way and appreciate you, even if your health deteriorates mentally. When you see my sister, you want to know she's got brain damage, she's handicapped, she's very well taken care of by my brothers. Because I'm here, and my other sisters are dead, and the other sister that's remained, I'm here. But they look after her. She has her own accommodation. She has her own um, nurse, the nurse that takes care of her and takes her to Chainama Hospital in Zambia. They look after her in Zambia, not we were talking about mental health facilities in the first and other world. My sister is taken care of in Zambia by the Chainama Hospital. They give her medication. She doesn't have epilepsy episodes like she used to have before. But because now we understand that it's possible for her to have the care in Zambia. And she's very well taken of, and she's okay.
Mukuni, looks like you've touched on a topic that need to be dug into deep. I think we're all emotional right now. I'm so emotional right now. I don't know. I think we should stop and continue this conversation at another time, and we could start where we left off. Um, Thank you.
Mental health is about people around us, the people we love, the people who love us, and it's about all of us. We have somebody around us that we care about or care about us who's got a mental health issue. So we have to look out for each other.
Wow.
Hugs, Maria. Hugs,
Mental
everyone.
health comes in different form, and I never knew that being pregnant, but having babies and carrying the babies can cause all that kind of emotions. So talking about it has really dug a lot of emotion because having Tamia at 25 weeks, when going through that process, it was a tough process, mentally, emotionally. And to hear you telling me about how many miscarriages you've had, and boy, you think, I don't know. I think, I don't know, ladies, if you agree, um, stop now and then find another day, another weekend where we are all free and really talk about this topic so that other people who out there can share the experience and listen in. Like you've said, Black women, when it comes to giving birth, they think we're women. We're super women. We don't feel pain. We are somehow pop, the baby just comes out, and we have no emotions. And we find that even the nurses sometimes at the hospital, the Black ones, they don't even help us. If they're from Africa, especially, I find they're the most brutal ones.
And apparently, if you give birth by cesarean section, you're lazy.
I thank you.
Cesarean section is surgery. It's surgery.
It's
So
an
if you're lazy,
operation. It's an operation. An operation of 40 stitches, whatever cuts. I've had 2 of those.
But the chances of you surviving in our hospitals, the minimum hospitals, are very, very minimal. And there's a lot of stigma attached to it. Cesarean is just an operation, believe me, in any
it,
other circumstance. But for
it
us, it's
is
a
an
big deal.
operation. But it's not a sign of laziness if
But
you're in a
people say
situation where
people
you
who've
can't.
given birth through the C cut are lazy. We
Yeah.
don't
So
want to
if you
push.
can't birth vaginally, you're trying to save your life and your child's life.
Your
How is
child's
that
life.
laziness?
Yeah.
But
It's
Yeah.
some people
surgery.
can't give birth. Normally, they have to go by cesarean. So imagine in our traditional context, if you can't have an operation, it means you die. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of us mothers that are alive having given birth through cesarean, and we couldn't do it any other way because
There's
there
no
was
way. Yeah.
medical support for that.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
true.
must be glad for that.
Yeah. Yeah, because no, trust for me, Sika is a proper birth. It's a proper birth. I felt it. I don't know about anybody else. I felt it. Okay. I still feel it till now. That's the problem with it.
But
I still
what if
feel
you
it
didn't
till
have
now.
that possibility to have the operation? Like a lot of our sisters and young children in Zambia don't have that possibility. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a death penalty for them.
Yeah, it's true.
Just giving birth through cesarean is a death penalty because the child doesn't come through the normal channel, so they will die.
Yeah.
So these are things we need to talk about, and it has consequences mentally and everything. So we need to talk about these things, and they're very common things we need to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but as Black people, Afro Caribbean, or as Asians, these are topics we need to touch on, and topics we need to educate each other. Topics like Mukuni says, if I speak up, say something, I'm helping 6 other women who come behind me. And at the same time, we are giving the nurses as well knowledge. Say, when I say I'm in pain, I mean I'm in pain. I
But
mean, look at me, help me,
you
save
privilege
me.
being in the
You
UK, you
know?
can get painkillers.
Yeah, but
Our sisters in Zambia don't get the painkillers.
That's a topic for another day. That's like there's
yeah,
so many
Anyway,
there's the privilege, but there are a lot of inequalities as well. I can tell you. There's so many people that have died at the hands of the National
that
Health
is
Service. So
that is
it's not as rosy as it looks,
as
believe
it
you me.
looks. Yeah.
So
and we
yeah,
know that we all of us in this panel, we know those inequalities, and I think this is what should be our final say in the discussion.
Yeah. So this will be our final stay for today because we've gone over the time as well, and the topics we're touching in are deep topics that we can't just talk on the surface. These are
mhm,
topics that need to be spoken in details and to share our experience so that other people can share the experience as well. Because if we don't share, other people think they're struggling alone. They think they're doing the battle on their own. But if they hear it from a person they know or someone close that they know, they feel the privilege to open up as well and to help. Isaac is just joining in. I wanted a male perspective on mental health. I'm going to add him on quickly, so just to, so he knows. We went, Isaac, I know you just coming in due to work, and I wanted you to come on, Ellie, so you can talk from mental health from a male point of view. But we'll end now because we went to another topic that needs to be talked more in details. But before you go, could you just share what mental health means from a male point of view? Because today all the guests were all female, but from a male point of view, what does mental health mean to you?
Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Maria.
Hi, good evening.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, it's been an emotional, of course, I've been on the background, and I would like to, I'm sending my thoughts and my love to everyone, especially my women out there that might or may be going through challenges due to mental health. So I'm Isaac, of course. Isaac Mlezuma Njovu is my name. And I'm from Zambia, currently in the UK. And I want to talk about mental health coming from Zambian perspective, where our society today has been engulfed with this. Of course, I've heard from other professionals saying it's not per se illness, but I would want to put it in that frame of saying this illness that has engulfed our society today and is posing a great challenge to our well-being in our society. Yes, mental health, of course, it is a big challenge at the moment, not only in Zambia, but everywhere. But as a country, I'll speak on Zambian side with experience that I have, of course, had and the background I'm coming from in my community and the people that I have time to time interacted in our, of course, even growing up, we've seen other people that eventually get to being affected with this, of course, mental illness, which from my side requires so much support, as well as support in terms of it can say on a social aspect, emotionally, as well as just on how best maybe our government can look at this issue of mental health, because at the end of the day, we have had issues that are related to mental health, which at the end of the day, we do not even pay attention to. And it is of course, a wake-up call to everyone out there, especially to our leaders in our country. I will specifically say in Zambia, to see how best they can, through the Ministry of Health, how best they can structure section just to look at this issue with that much, of course, attention, because as it is right now, there is too much, I would say, negligence, and also there is too much stigma, which at the end of the day, we are not, we have distanced ourselves from the people that may or might be going through with this illness, mental illness in our society. Therefore, it is a wake-up call to everyone, and looking at this year's theme, which of course is categorically pointing at an equal world, where we are distancing ourselves from the people that day to day are, of course, facing this challenge. From my being from a male perspective, of course, I still touched because I'm always coming from a family where I've received so much love and support from the women folks, being from my mom, my sisters, my cousins in that lane. It has given me so much, of course, an understanding of just how women, especially our women in society, go through just to see that their families, or just to see that things are met and are provided at the end of the day. Men, of course, most of the time may not be there, but women are always pressed under, of course, circumstances that needs at the end of the day to answer all calls that will need people to do what, to progress, or to just to live in as well as well area of providing for the family is concerned. So women, of course, are they are mostly, I would say, vulnerable to this, I would say, illness that today presses much needed support to our women, as they are, of course, go through, of course, emotionally, psychologically, or even as their well-being affected due to this illness. So it is a call out, especially to all the people out there, being in our community, from our community leaders. In our community, of course, we can talk of the church. Yeah, we talk of maybe at schools, the clubs, to see how they can incorporate women and create some form of a structural system that time to time, which I will be more deliberate to look at how best they can help out women out there with, of course, these challenges which they face, day-to-day challenges which they or do, of course, face. So from the men perspective, I would say, us men, there are so many times when we are, of course, faced with challenges that at the end of the day, we do not want maybe to open up and try to prove, to be it in society, in our community, or at a family level, where you want to prove that with or without, you can make it on your own, or you can sort out being if there's an issue or of that maybe personal concern. But the thing that I've realized that us men, we are very weak in where issues to do with emotion are concerned. And if we look at the percentage even right now, I think in Zambia, you find that most men, of course, have lost it due to the fact that they do not, of course, come out in open. Rather, they would do maybe think of maybe trying to find means of easing there. It could be pressure, or maybe it could be other challenges that they may be going through at that particular time. And the only things they will, of course, think of, it could lead them into maybe alcohol. Others, they would maybe start, of course, abusing drugs. And these are the factors, factors that have really affected our men and people in society today, especially the young ones, because there are so many challenges that pressed, which are really pressing, especially the youths and the young men in our society today. That time to time, you find that in a search for maybe a better life, or in search for opportunities, you find that people do not get to have maybe answers that will meet their need or demand at the end of the day. Instead, they always now lose out by finding themselves in doing illicities and other, of course, things which always will contribute to this mental health issues today. Because even when you go to Chainama today, the environment itself, when you go there, you find that most of the patients at that institution, mainly you see that are of maybe alcohol or drug abuse as a result, which has greatly affected them and find themselves in such institutions. And to me, the same environment, which I would say the environment that have been put out there, I do not think that we have the government is doing enough to eradicate this scourge or eradicate this illness. There is little effort in our society today. There is a little support and little funding to this challenge that we have today. And with the background of COVID-19, so many people have been, I would just say lives of people have been, disrupted in terms of work, business, and all other areas of life, such that all these factors, as of today, looking at where we are today, is not like the way we were maybe 5 years ago, because everything that we are doing today is, of course, corresponding to the current status quo of where we are as a people in a COVID era. So there are so many, of course, with this background, we have had so many cases, which as of today, in as much as we talk about and preach about the awareness of COVID, we are leaving out the many, of course, problem that it has emanated from the same, of course, background, which is of COVID-19, because people emotionally have been affected, psychologically people are affected, their social well-being is greatly affected. So we have a very big challenge, which at the end of the day will need everyone, all concerted effort to come together. The church, we talk of the schools, we talk of our local leaders in our communities. All these people need to come together and see how best we can sensitize and, of course, make this mental health issue a priority from family level, church, community, our communities, and even our government should create a very, of course, deliberate effort structure that will support and make this, even if it's at church, we can even start by, of course, bringing up issues like this before we even progress. If at school, we can start with talk about mental issues, so that people can also open up, because there are people that may notice or may realize to say they are losing out, but they cannot come out openly because they are fear, or because of the stigma maybe that may come along with it. When you just say I've got a mental health issue, people, of course, they will just immediately align you to somebody like who's not mentally okay, like you are mad, So there's so much, of course, awareness in terms of information delivery to people, where people could really take this not as in that bad way of thinking it's only about when you have mental health, it's about you are not okay, you are crazy, you are mad. No, they need to look at it as an illness that needs, of course, support from all areas or from all angles, for somebody to do what, to be okay. So most of the people are not opening up. At the end of the day, you just find that people are just now overcrowded in these the mental health institutions, where again there is no, I would say in the said environment which we have, I do not see in as much as we appreciate they are there, but also there is so much effort and work that needs to be done for people to at least can be helped and get back as productive people back in society. So that is my contribution on this progressive chart.
Yeah, thank you so much for that contribution. That was amazing, and it was nice to hear from a male perspective. We will continue with this conversation. We'll do part 2 of this so that we can get into it in more details. But for today, I would say we end now so that we can sort of reflect on what we've spoken about today and get to people to think about what we've talked about today. So when we do part 2, we'll have more an engaged audience to listen in more as well. And hopefully by then I will try as well to get Dr. Nim to come on board, because this time I gave him short notice, he couldn't come on. And hopefully the next part 2, we will get somebody from Zambia in that field to speak on this as well. So thank you, everybody. I cannot thank you enough. We've gone over, I think, 2 hours, and I think it's one of those topics you can't stop talking about it, because it's a topic no one really talks about it. So hence the 2 hours has gone. So thank you so much for your time. Would you want to have your last say before we say goodbye? So I'll put each one of you one by one. Have your last say, and then part 2, we'll arrange a part 2 where we'll come in and do part 2. As you can see, someone is ready to kind of sort of go. So I'll leave Mukuni on. So if we can start with you, Mukuni. You can say your last words, please.
Wow. Thank you so much for providing a platform for me to be able to just, give my voice to this rather pertinent subject, a very important subject, which I, will continue to say, let's open up the channels to discuss. It became quite intense and emotional towards the end, so I hope that people will find a way to sort of debrief and take care of themselves, whatever that means for you. And I also just want to say thank you to all the other panelists as well. Thank you so much. It's been such an engaging and insightful conversation. And I hope that we will have more of such, conversations in the future. And that we'll be okay to be vulnerable to the level of our comfort, and provided that we have the safe spaces that we need. So Maria, you're doing a great work. Carry on, keep it up. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No, thank you, honey. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you. And thank you for opening up on your personal as well, because it wasn't easy to do it publicly. And I am grateful that you use this platform to open up, and you've opened up a topic that we'll touch on, which I never thought is something that actually was a mental issue as well. I just thought it was a norm. It was just, me being a woman, not being strong enough. And you touching on that, it's really made me think and say, wow, okay. So it was normal. I wasn't crazy. It was normal the way I felt. So thank you so much for sharing on your personal. That was deep. Hugs and kisses to you. Thank you so much. Okay. Stay in the background for me. Next, I'll bring on Auntie Walia. Please, you can have your last say. We all became emotional with everything we're saying, so we will continue, like I said, part 2.
Well, that's the whole purpose of bringing out topics that are not spoken in public so often, especially among us, Africans.
Yeah.
We live in spaces where we bottle up and we just take everything in like we're strong as we can be. But I want to say to our young lady that just left,
Mukuni.
I'm so happy to have been in the same panel with her, and I hope to communicate with her. If she needs support, she can always find it. And I just want to assure everybody that when we're talking about mental health, there's support somewhere. For me, as a clinical psychologist, like I said, I didn't train to be a clinical psychologist. I came from marketing, business, whatever. I trained to be a clinical psychologist because I found my sister in a position where I thought I could help her and help, to understand what went on with her brain. And that's how I landed into this. But that doesn't mean that it ends on her. She doesn't understand what I do because she doesn't have a memory. She doesn't have anything. But for her sake, I always dedicate myself to support a lot of other people that are going through a lot of health mental issues, and I'm prepared to lead you to whether you are from India, you are from African continent, you're from Asia. We have support system as a mental health institutions around the world. And through Maria, since this is a support, this is the platform you're coming through, please send your requests and everything. We'll link you up to somebody that can support you, whatever your issue is, whether it's abuse. And we don't demean, nothing is too small. Whatever you've gone through, if it causes you to have problems with your mental health, it's worth looking into. So that's what I wanted to say. At the end of the day, what is important is that each person has possibility to be reached out by somebody who understands them better than anybody else, meaning somebody from your own background. It's mental health is easier dealt with when somebody from your own background reaches out to you. But we have lots of networks, and we can first line networks. We don't mean that we can give you all the support, but we want people to normalize mental health. Mental health is not a disease that you should shine away from. If you have somebody in your family that's got a mental health, please look after them. Look after them. They are human beings and they need your support. And that's where I will end my chat.
Thank you so much, Auntie, for coming on. Really appreciate your time and for sharing your experience and your knowledge on the mental health topic. Like I said, we will have a part 2 where I will give you time, and hopefully you join and we can continue with the conversation. So thank you once again for coming on. I'm going to bring Vanessa on. So if Vanessa, could please come on.
Hello, Maria. Thank you. It's just been an amazing, an honour to be with the panelists and all that we have shared. But my message would be for people who are, wherever you are, please seek help. Maybe that person didn't help you, but continue your journey, because, and also this may have brought up issues for you or concerns. So if you can contact me or any of the panelists through Maria. But in the meantime, if you are feeling vulnerable and suicidal or in any crisis, you can contact the NHS 111. You can also, can provide you with a nurse and mental health over the phone, and treatments you can get from the mental health services. They can refer you, and other organisations such as Samaritans, even just to have someone to talk to. And Mind, and each borough has Mind, so you can also go through there. And if you have private health, contact them, because you'll be able to get a much more faster track to getting help through counselling or other services you may need. And yes, I'd like to say thank you and look forward to
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vanessa. So definitely we're going to have a part 2 because you did share your personal experience on childbirth as well. And because we couldn't touch that area, so we will do a part 2, and we will continue with the mental health questions so that we can finish all the questions we're set to do today. So thank you once again for joining me today and for always giving your time. I do appreciate you. And thank you once again. So the next person, which is the last person, is Isaac again, just to have your last say. And then from there, we can say our goodbyes.
Well, thank you. First and foremost, thank you, Maria, for creating this forum where we can have people across the world to have chance and access to watch and listen to the people with broadened experience as well as understanding of mental health. From my side, it's been a good, of course, productive discussion where I've learned also where I've learned a lot actually. Yeah. And coming back to our, of course, discussion, today being Mental Health Day, my message to everyone is please don't feel that you are alone. We are all here for you, and we are, of course, each other's, or we are brothers' keeper at the end of the day. Yeah, so when you feel like you are, of course, not really connected, or you feel like you left alone, please always be open to people, and always be open, be it in our family or in our communities or in our workplace. Yeah, seek guidance and also advice or help from the people around us, so that together we can win this war which we have, mental health. Because at the end of the day, we are, of course, looking for a productive society and the well-being of our lives, that is from our family background, and to also provide and be productive in our community, so that everyone should do not be left behind, but be part and partner of development, and as well as live their lives to the fullest. So let us be open, and let us always seek counseling if at all we feel distressed, we feel depressed. Let us always see possible means and ways that he can help us and carry on in a very productive with life. Otherwise, my message, the last message will just be to my people back home in Zambia, where we have had, of course, in the recent past, young people involving themselves in illicit drugs as well as alcohol, which has led to the great growing number in terms of mental health. Let our, of course, government, through the support of yes, the government and our leaders in our country, to make this mental health a main subject everywhere, so that people can we can do what we can sensitize people on the challenges and the dangers of mental health in our society today. Otherwise, it's been a great time being here, and sorry for coming late. Next time we'll try and be on time. Otherwise, yeah, I was just held up with the other commitment, but never. It has been a great, of course, time being here with everyone, and also sharing views with the other, of course, panelists. Otherwise, thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you so much, Isaac. Thank you for your contribution, and thank you for coming on. You did say in advance that you will come on later due to work, so thank you for still finding the time to come on. Like I said, we will have part 2 where hopefully I'll give you time, and hopefully you'll be there from the beginning, and you can share more of your experience and your knowledge as well, especially talking from the Zambian perspective as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Mommy. So thank you everybody for joining in today, and thank you for your contribution, your comments, sending in through your messages. I'd like to say thank you once again to all my panelists for today, for touching on topics that we've never talked on, and topics that has made me think twice, that we need to look into and discuss as well. So thank you once again. As you can see, I think it's time to go. So thank you, everybody. Good night, and have a good week ahead from tomorrow. We'll speak soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Mommy. Wait.